Hello, YouTube. My name is Daniel Lee, and I am making a sequel or part 2 to my video entitled Ron Paul at the Crossroads. I had a comment, somebody who asked if I could give a sample of what I'm planning to preach outside the Republican National Convention in September. I've already received messages from 3 different individuals who are interested in sending me money to make the trip to Minnesota and to stay there for a week during the Republican National Convention. So I think if these people follow through, I think I definitely have a good chance of fulfilling what my video proposed. And that is, of course, to stand in front of the National Republican Convention in September and stand out in front of the convention center. I don't know how close I can get to the convention center, because I know there's probably going to be freedom of speech restrictions, which is typical, unfortunately, in the day and age we live in. But I have quite a bit of experience. I've been street preaching and campus preaching outside in the open air for about 10 years now. So I have a lot of experience with dealing with the police, with getting permits. I've been on campuses in the United States where I've had to actually get permits. So if I have to get some permits or whatever, that's fine. I might even try to get some sort of special permit so that I can bring a bullhorn, amplification, so that I don't have to strain my voice as much. That might be good. But in any case, I plan to stand out in front of the convention center, hopefully in a place where the delegates will be walking by, and I can then preach to them as they're walking inside. Of course, I'm not going to know which delegates are Ron Paul delegates and which delegates are McCain delegates, but I'm just going to preach to every single delegate or every single person I see walking into the convention center and say, hey, if you're a delegate, well, let's see. First of all, let me give some background of who I am, because that was another question that people ask, is they want to know more of who I am. My name is Daniel Lee. I live in Portland, Oregon. As I said, I've been preaching outside in the open air for about 10 years now. I've preached on campuses all across the nation, from UCLA to University of Arizona, or Arizona University in Phoenix, to universities in Alabama, Oklahoma, of course here in Oregon. So I have a lot of experience with outdoor public speaking. I usually get crowds of anywhere from 20 people to, I've had crowds as big as 400 or 500 people before. Just lifting up my voice and, of course, preaching religion, the Bible. But in this case, I'll be preaching Ron Paul. So that's a little background on who I am. Why am I doing this? Pretty obvious. I think it's the last sort of attempt or chance that I personally have as an American citizen to try to get Ron Paul elected president. And, we're talking about a little over 1,000 delegates that will be attending this convention. And if I can project my voice outside of that convention center, and if I can convince even 20 to 25% of the delegates that are currently set to vote for McCain, if I can convince 20 to 25% of them, which is not all that much, if I can convince that many to abstain from the first round of voting, then we could very possibly have a brokered convention. So my goal will be to try to convince as many delegates as possible to not vote in the first round, to give Ron Paul a chance at the nomination. So what will I actually be preaching? Well, when I go out and I preach on campuses, college campuses, it's not like a pastor in a church. I don't prepare a sermon or write out notes or create an outline or anything like that. I just pretty much go out to preach, and I just start preaching on whatever. I might reference a current event topic that's going on in politics or world events or something, and I'll just go. I'll just start preaching, and usually I'll have interaction with students, and it'll just go from there. So I don't really pre-plan anything. So I'm probably going to just stick to that, because I'm just best at thinking on my feet. It's like I didn't plan what I was going to say for this YouTube. I'm just thinking on my feet. So I'm probably not going to just, I'm not going to have any notes or anything. But, I'm probably going to say something like, well, of course, I'm inside right now. So obviously I'm not going to be totally showing you what I'm going to be doing. But I'll be lifting up my voice so that people can hear me, and I do have a very loud voice. I know how to project. I was in theater all through high school, and like I said, I've preached for 10 years now. So I know how to project. I know how to project my voice. I've been able to preach where people can hear my voice as far away as, a few city blocks or several hundred yards. So I can definitely project my voice. So I'll probably just say something like, attention, Republican delegates. You're about to go inside to vote for the Republican nominee for the President of the United States. Do you think John McCain can win? I tell you, he cannot win. He is for a war that over 70% of the American population is against. And furthermore, you as a Republican delegate should not be for the war because it is unconstitutional. It is against the Constitution. The Constitution says that the Congress is supposed to vote to declare war. Congress never did. So you as a Republican delegate, in order to stand out as a truly Republican delegate, should vote for the only candidate who is against the war, and that is Ron Paul. And, I'll go in more into that. Of course, granted, depending on how long I have as people, get out of their cars and walk down the sidewalk or whatever in the convention center, I may not have that much time to speak to them. So I may just say just little kind of clips of Ron Paul's position. I think I might talk about the war. I'll talk about the Federal Reserve. I might say something like, attention Republican delegates. If you really care about the economy, if you really want to elect a Republican nominee who has a chance at convincing the American people that they can fix the economy, elect Ron Paul. He's the only one talking about sound money. He's the only one talking about abolishing the Federal Reserve. He's the only one talking about returning 30% of Americans' income back to them by abolishing the income tax. He's the only candidate who's doing that. So if you want to elect a Republican candidate who can inspire confidence in the American people to fix the economy, nominate Ron Paul. So the war, the economy, sound money, the Federal Reserve. I'll just highlight some of the main issues that Ron Paul highlights. I might have a stack of Ron Paul books with me that I can pass out maybe to delegates. Actually, that's a really good idea. You know what I should do? I should try to buy as many Ron Paul manifestos as possible and just hand them out to every delegate I see. That's a pretty good idea. Of course, they may not, at that point, they may not have time to read it before they go in and vote. But anyway, that might be a good idea. So that'll kind of just be my my strategy. I'm going to try to have someone out there to videotape me. Or maybe I could set up a video camera on a tripod if I'm out there alone. And then that way I can put it up on YouTube when I'm done so people can actually see what actually happened. And who knows, maybe I'll have some interaction with some of the delegates. Maybe some of them will come up to me and introduce themselves to me, and I'll be able to talk to them. Who knows, But anyway, I figure if I can convince between 20 to 25% of the delegates that are currently set to vote for McCain to abstain, then we might get a broker convention. So that's going to be my goal. So anyway, that's what I'm planning to do. If anyone has any questions, you can email me at firebrand4@hotmail.com. It's FIREBRAND4@hotmail.com. And I'll be more than willing to answer any more of your questions. All right, thank you.